Good morning. I am 5 minutes earlier today. As always, if you're watching and recording, you're welcome to fast forward or stay with us through our hellos. I'm gonna check the sound now. You're welcome to fast. Perfect, the sound is great. Good morning, Gina. Happy Heart Day, Gina says. Yes, indeed. Happy Valentine's. Good morning, Sandra. My goodness, today there's a lot of mosquitoes here. I see more people are joining, but for some reason, again, I don't see the names. So if you want to say hi in the comments, great. If not, of course, no worries. Buenos dias, Judy. Good morning, Sally. All right, it is time for us to start. Oh my God, not only mosquitoes, but also bees. What's going on here? I'm being attacked. Anyway, we continue to explore the basics of meditation today. And we have already established that the goal of meditation is not to get rid of thoughts, as many beginners think. Getting rid of thoughts is absolutely impossible. The mind's job is to think, and it will continue doing so for as long as we live. The point here is to become aware of the thoughts rather than getting engaged in them. And eventually, through this process, you find spaces between thoughts, spaces in which there is peace, quietness, awakeness. This constant narrative that we all experience in our mind is called discursive thought. Yesterday, we started working with the thoughts by simply labeling them as thinking. Whenever we notice that we've drifted away from the breath, away from the present moment in our meditation, we just come back and gently say to ourselves, thinking, thinking. So now let's take a bit closer look at the different varieties of discursive thought. Many meditation texts talk about 3 levels of thought. In the first level, we are totally gone. Our thoughts take us far, far away from the present moment for a considerable stretch of time. And we are so engaged in this that we have no idea that we are not here, not in the present moment. This level of discursive thought is often referred to as fantasy. During our meditation, when we finally realize that we are completely lost in these thoughts and come back to our breath, there is often a tendency to be harsh to ourselves because we've traveled so far away from the present moment. So notice your tone of voice when you label this experience as thinking. If your tone is harsh, if the word thinking feels equivalent to bad or is accompanied by some sort of depression or a sense of discouragement, just notice that. This is a place where you can bring relaxation and gentleness into your practice. See if you can say thinking to yourself with a friendly attitude. When we label our thoughts as thinking during our meditation, we are actually training ourselves in developing an unbiased attitude. And criticalness is an obstacle to it. Harshness is an obstacle to awakening. This tendency to be hard on ourselves comes from the ego and our past conditioning. So whenever that happens, try to remind yourself that we all have the seeds of basic goodness within us. We only have to nourish them, which means not judging ourselves for all the wild thinking that takes place in our mind. Remind yourself that we cannot control how many thoughts we're going to have, and we cannot control what the next thought is going to be. They just happen. As you practice, try to be faithful to the instruction with a very gentle attitude. We train in attention, but it is friendly attention. We train in labeling, but it is friendly labeling. The second level of discursive thought is being gone, lost in thought, but not completely. Maybe you're 2 or 3 sentences into a thought or storyline, but you're not gone for a long time before you realize that it's happening and come back to your breath, to the present moment. So you're not completely lost in a fantasy. You're just drawn off by a sound, for example, and then the mind follows the sound for a little bit, but quickly returns back to your breath, to your meditation. If you experience this second level of discursive thought during meditation, the instruction here is the same. So whenever you notice you're gone, label the experience as thinking and come back to the present moment. No big deal. Nothing to be harsh about. Gentle, kind. Interestingly, many people who commit to meditation practice say, it seems like I'm thinking more than I ever did before. But that's not true. We just become conscious of this monkey mind, the constant narrative we experience in our mind. And it is a very good sign. It indicates an increase in our awareness and our ability to see clearly what's going on. And finally, the third level of discursive thought includes the thoughts that don't draw you off at all. So you are in meditation and you put your mind on the object of the breath, you're staying with it, and then there is this little vague conversation, in and out thought that's happening on the side, but it doesn't draw you off from the present moment. It's like you are a witness to this on the side vague hint of thoughts, but you don't enter them completely. In this case, you don't have to label the thoughts as thinking. And usually you won't experience this criticism of yourself around these thoughts. It is important to recognize this level of thinking anyway, and to distinguish it from the kind of thinking that takes you to more faraway destinations. And as your meditation practice develops, you are likely to experience this this third kind of thinking more and more often. You remain present in your meditation. You experience thoughts arising, but they don't yank you out of the present moment. They're just happening in the background, and you're still with the object of meditation, which is your breath. Remember, you don't need to struggle. You don't need to push any thoughts away. This is absolutely impossible. So in the case of these background thoughts, you don't need to label them. You can just say to yourself, good, this is fine, absolutely fine. I actually don't have to label anything here, and I don't have to try to do anything differently. This is great. So let's practice together now with these three levels of discursive thought in mind. The instruction today will be, as usual, to stay with your breath, and whenever you notice that something drew your attention from it and you've been gone for a while, notice what kind of experience you've been sucked into. Was it a fantasy where you're completely lost in thought for a while and coming back from this trip feels like a little shock? Was it the second kind of discursive thought, being gone, but just for a little while, 2, 3 sentences into the storyline, and then you notice it and come back? Or was it the third level of discursive thought, thoughts happening in the background, and you're not actually lost in them at all? Remember that in the first two cases, you do need to label your experience as thinking, but with a gentle, kind attitude. And in the third case, you can actually say to yourself, wow, this is fine. I've experienced being a witness to my thoughts. How cool is that? And you don't label it as thinking at all. So take a comfortable position, and as always, take a few moments to settle into your body. Notice the 6 points of your meditation posture, your base, your legs, your hands, torso, face, eyes. Relax as much as it is possible for now. Soften into the physical experience of the posture. Let your breath be soft and easy, completely natural. Check in with yourself. See where you're at right now. So sweep your body from top to bottom, scanning for various sensations, physical, emotional, mental. What is the strongest experience you're feeling right now? Can you contact this experience non-verbally? Simply getting a felt sense of what's happening. I'll be mostly silent today so that you can have a lot of space to connect with your direct experiences. But of course, I'll sprinkle some reminders to stay with your meditation throughout the practice. So keep your breathing nice and rhythmic, not forced, and just watch what's happening in the ocean of your mind, letting all the experiences of the present moment to pass through you as energy. Whenever you notice a thought, simply say to yourself, thinking, thinking, and notice how you use this label. Is there any hint of criticism in it? Does the word thinking seem more like bad? Can you instead be gentle and kind to yourself? Every time you realize that you've been gone and come back to the here and now, notice what kind of discursive thought happened. Were you completely gone for a while, lost in a fantasy? Were you gone just for a little tiny bit, catching this thinking 2, 3 sentences into the story? Or were you experiencing the third kind of discursive thought, just witnessing your thoughts in the background and never really losing touch with the present moment? Remember that if you experience the first two kinds of thought, simply label them as thinking with a gentle, kind attitude. And if you witness your thoughts without being drawn to them, you don't need to label the experience as anything. You can actually even say to yourself, wow, this is great. I'm still present. How cool is that? And now gently let go of your practice. Scan your body again, noticing what's happening physically, emotionally, mentally. How are you right now? And as you go through your day today, I invite you to stay with this practice as much as you can. Notice what kind of discursive thought you're experiencing the most. And there is nothing to do about it. Let the mind be the mind. Simply start paying gentle and kind attention to what's going on inside your mind, to become more and more aware, more and more awake, letting more and more space in between your thoughts. Enjoy this process. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a beautiful day. Tomorrow is Amethyst's healing group practice, and I will see you tomorrow. I will see you on Thursday. Bye.